What do you do? What do you want to do? I wrote my speech. He's just going to talk.
Is it just talking?
He's going to talk. I wrote it. I can't just.
I wrote mine too. It's an adventure.
That's no problem.
Why are we all very black?
I know. All my people.
And such, and then using this. And I will be waiting.
Just do that.
He said,
Here
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
on the.
Yeah, he's supposed to be.
Nobody.
I mean, these people are
Yes,
somebody,
yeah,
but
I think nothing from the federal
so we can.
delegation yet.
Are you on TV all the time? Good morning and welcome. I'm Jim Neal. I'm the chair of the Coalition of Refugee Service Agencies, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's press conference as part of our 7th annual New Americans celebration. Our mission at the Coalition of Refugee Service Agencies is to engage a broad coalition to highlight the cultural, social, and economic contributions of refugees and immigrants to Georgia. And we envision a future where every person in Georgia is valued, respected, and able to build a successful life. Today, at our 7th annual New American celebration, we really bring that mission to life, bringing over 350 refugees, immigrants, community supporters, and advocates here to the Georgia State Capitol to share a message with all of our elected officials about the value of welcoming refugees and immigrants to Georgia. Our top policy priorities as the Coalition of Refugee Service Agencies are to ensure an effective and robust refugee resettlement program at the federal, state, and local level. And we are very gratified by the support we've received from many Georgians over the last few weeks encouraging refugee resettlement in Georgia. We are also here to promote a legislative agenda that provides opportunities for the success of all Georgians. We believe welcoming new Americans benefits us all. And we believe that because it's good for all of us, because we have the facts and data to back it up. Today we are highlighting and releasing our 2019 annual report from the Coalition of Refugee Service Agencies. It has facts and data on how immigrants strengthen Georgia's economy. Just a few highlights. Over 10% of the population in Georgia is foreign born. 1 out of 7 Georgia workers was born in another country. This population has $25.9 billion in spending power and pays over $9 billion in federal, state, and local taxes. The report includes facts and figures on refugee resettlement in Georgia. In 2019, CRSA member organizations welcomed 1,330 refugees to Georgia from 25 countries. And within 6 months, 92% of those resettled in Georgia last year were economically self-sufficient and paying their own bills, one of the highest self-sufficiency rates in the nation. Georgia has created a climate and communities that welcome refugees and help them succeed, which helps us all succeed. Refugees go to work right away in some of our most important industries: poultry processing, other food businesses, manufacturing and distribution, and tourism. And refugees and immigrants are much more likely to start a new business that employs others than native-born Americans, and so many find their way to starting new opportunities for all of us. So the report also shows the scope and impact of CRSA member organizations, because we don't do this work alone. We partner with hundreds of businesses, faith communities, civic organizations, schools and universities to do this work of welcoming people to Georgia. And finally, the report itself includes some personal stories of new Americans and how they are contributing to all of us here in Georgia. And you're going to hear such stories from our speakers this morning. Before introducing our first speaker, I would like to acknowledge and welcome those who represent us. And we've invited folks from our federal representative teams, the offices of Senator David Perdue, Senator Kelly Loeffler, Representatives Hank Johnson, John Lewis, Lucy McBath, and Rob Woodall. And so we appreciate their encouragement and support as well. I'm happy to introduce our first speaker, Justin Ocala. You know, Georgia businesses have developed a powerful partnership with the state's refugee and immigrant community, investing heavily in the foreign-born workforce. Refugees and immigrant workers are even more vital today because during a period of economic growth and workforce shortages. In 2019, CRSA member organizations worked with over 150 Georgia businesses to place 2,515 new Americans in jobs. And this is something Justin knows very well because he helps make great things happen for immigrant employees and Georgia businesses. Justin Ocala is originally from Uganda. He's invested his professional life in empowering others. He has a passion for working with underserved communities and using access to technology as a tool for empowerment. He began in Uganda as a leader in socioeconomic development projects, and he continues in the United States as a community educator and then director of programs and technology at Clarkston Community Center, a CRSA member organization. Justin now works at CRSA member New American Pathways as a program leader focused on careers and professional development. He helps new Americans achieve their potential working for Georgia employers. I'm happy to introduce Justin Ocala.
Well, thank you very much, Neil. First of all, I want to thank CRSA for giving me this opportunity to actually be here. I also want to thank everybody for carving out time to be here, because you could have been doing something else today, but you decided to be here with us, and as we celebrate this day. This day really means a lot to me. This is not the first time I've been here. And always when I come here, it reminds me a lot of, seeing people actually get here to be naturalized. The first time that I was at the Capitol was a time when, we came to just celebrate one of these wonderful days. And, it really touched my heart to see, people, getting naturalized. And some of them were tearing, not believing that the day has come for them to become citizens. That day I couldn't have fathomed how much it felt, because myself, I wasn't a citizen yet. But just a couple of weeks ago, I became naturalized, and now I'm a citizen. So I want to say congratulations to all the new citizens, because it's quite a milestone to get to the point where you become a citizen of the United States. So I'm really honored to be here today. A room filled of people who are really here to celebrate the new citizens, and actually just celebrate everybody. So I want to kind of like track back a little bit. I started my journey from Uganda, and like Neil just mentioned, my work of community transformation has been something that I saw firsthand from the country that I come from, Uganda, being a really war-torn area that I grew up in. It was just something that I had to, put my hands to, because graduating in IT was something that, I went to school, I thought I would do something with that to make things happen for my community. But as I was in school, you realize life just sort of like gets to you, and you have a purpose, By the time that I would volunteer, go to, a lot of the agencies that were helping the community that I really came from, invited me to be able to, offer my expertise and be able to help. And that's how I started, falling in love with community transformation and seeing how my impact can actually, influence the progress of the community. So that gave me the experience and, the love of community transformation. When I came to the United States a few years ago, I didn't know anything about, the refugee status in Georgia. When I was in one of the networking events at Emory University School of Public Health, they had this, wonderful event, and everybody was welcome to attend. So I happened to go there, and one of my friends started talking to me about, there's this great community called Clarkston. And I was like, okay, tell me more about it. And then that's where I learned that Clarkston actually was the most densely square mile, the most diverse square mile in the United States. And since then, I made the point of going and reaching out to Clarkston to learn more about what Clarkston is. And when I did that, that's where I landed at Clarkston Community Center. And since then, I just realized, okay, this is the place that I want to be, because I could relate with the people who are walking into the doors of Clarkston Community Center. I could speak some of the languages that they spoke, and they felt more comfortable talking to me and explaining themselves completely openly about what they had come to do, or even what they were seeking at Clarkston Community Center. So I did quite a number of programs at Clarkston Community Center, and bringing my expertise of working in community transformation back in Uganda, and landing in Clarkston community, and continuing to serve the community that was in Clarkston. And since then, I continued doing that and realizing that there's a lot more to do than just helping the people who are coming into the doors. There's a lot of people out there that don't really know exactly what the Clarkston community, or even like the refugee community is. I've encountered a lot of folks that I have to talk to and tell them, okay, a refugee is legal. A refugee can actually get employed. Just like anybody else who is legally into this country, they can get a job and they can work and they can use the expertise in this economy. So by doing that, I've always talked to friends. I urge everybody out there, because I think it's upon us to educate ourselves, to learn more about what the contribution that refugees bring to this country. If we don't do that, then we're always going to be sidelining people who have, and they can be able to contribute to the economy of the United States. That being said, I just want to mention the fact that there's something I call brain waste. Interfacing with a lot of the clients that I work with currently at the New American Pathways, we have a lot of clients that come in that are got tons of experience, years of school, degrees, professional degrees, and they're not given the opportunity to really exercise and be able to work. If it wasn't my former boss at the Clarkson Community Center who let me in and heard what I had to say and my experience to give me the opportunity to serve the community, I wouldn't have been here. So I credit people like that who actually open up their doors and say, okay, what do you have? What are your credentials? What are your experiences? By doing that, we're going to actually open up more opportunities for more skilled labor that is going to immensely contribute to the economy of this country. If we are missing out on very experienced workers that can actually contribute greatly to this country. And how do they do that? If you hire somebody who is qualified as an engineer, as an IT expert, they're going to get a job that suits their experience, and they're going to be paid the amount that is actually equivalent to their worth. In turn, they can pay back the taxes that actually go back into the pool of the economy. That's how we see that, if we address the issue of not giving the opportunity to our fellow immigrants and fellow refugees who have the skill set, who have the experience to actually contribute to this economy, then we are actually missing out a lot on the revenue that the country can benefit from. So today, testimony on just like the experience that we have in my background, the people that we have in this room today have actually share sort of similar back stories and the challenges that we've gone through to be here. We've not been given the opportunity, but the few companies that are actually giving the opportunity to people that have the experience, we need to increase and share the knowledge to a lot of people to continue doing that. So I want to thank everybody who is here, because it means a lot to be here, to celebrate this day, and to create awareness. Call out everybody out there to open up their doors, Offer a listening ear, let somebody explain themselves. The experiences and the skill set that people have, they have a lot to offer. And by doing that, we are actually going to really contribute a lot to our economy. So I just want to conclude by saying, Georgia is good for refugees, and refugees are good for Georgia. So thank you very much. I know you're going to listen a lot from my colleagues here, but I want to thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Georgia has over 1 million foreign-born residents, and 41% of them are naturalized U.S. citizens, like Justin. In 2019, CRSA member organizations helped 1,308 individuals apply for citizenship, and 12,356 new Americans registered to vote. Our next speaker is a new citizen. I'm happy to introduce Mohammed Karim, who recently became a naturalized U.S. citizen. Originally from Myanmar, he and his family came to Atlanta through the Refugee Resettlement Program in 2014. He received support from several CRSA member organizations while he attended Clarkston High School, where he was an exemplary student and junior ROTC member. He worked with CRSA member organizations to apply for scholarships to assist with his educational expenses. Mohammed won a $2,000 scholarship, which he used towards his enrollment at Georgia State University, where he is currently pursuing a degree in criminal justice. I'm happy to introduce Mohammed Karim.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. So, first thing I will say, good morning. My name is Kareem, Mohammed Karim again. Today, I would like to share a short story of my life. First, I would like to thank God for everything. My family, Burmese Rohingya community of Georgia, spirituals, New American Pathway, and other supporters. So, when I was only six months old, my parents' house and our entire village was burned down. In order to escape persecution, they made the decision to flee to Bangladesh for safety. However, only a few years later, my uncle was killed by the Burmese military. As if this was not hard enough, a few years after that, my father passed away from a kidney stone. Excuse me. Sorry. After losing so much, especially my father, I had no hope. I became discouraged. My mother was a single mother in a Bangladesh refugee camp. My father always wanted me to be an educated and contributive member to society and to do something for our country. However, I did not have a chance to work or to go to school in my country. During this trying time in the refugee camp, an uncle found out about our living situation in the Malaysia. In the Bangladesh. He helped us to go to Malaysia. After spending 4 years there, the United Nations helped us resettle my family to United States. Finally, when I was 13 years old, my family and I moved to our new home called Clarkston, Georgia. In 2015, I started my first year in Clarkston High School. 4 years later, I will receive my high school diploma. It was always my father's dream for me to receive an education. On that day, I knew I made him proud. However, my hope was not only a graduate from high school, but also attend college and I get a degree to help the Clarkston community and make positive changes for this country. I do this in part as a volunteer and make a big impact in the lives of others. Last year, I received an acceptance letter from Georgia State Universities and was awarded 2 scholarships, including one from Spiritus, the organization who resettled me and my family. I chose my major to be in criminal justice because I want to protect my home community of Clarkston and help and community of Clarkston that help welcome and protect me. Because my community was safe and always felt like home, I want the next generation to feel the same way like I do. So my dear brothers, sisters, and political leaders, let's open our heart and welcome refugees and immigrants who are in incredibly dangerous conditions. We can bring them to safe home and give them the hope and the opportunity like you and I have here. As the Rohingya face religious persecution, ethnic cleansing, and the genocide, the refugee people have become refugees in many countries. We had to leave our land because we never had a citizenship or basic fundamentals right. And we are calling on you to help your fellow humans. You took us from danger and gave us the opportunity to succeed in our lives today. Here, I'm safe. If you had not welcomed us, I wouldn't be who I am today. Thank you very much for welcoming us here and keeping us safe. I look forward to giving others to this the same opportunity you give me here. Thank you very much, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mohammed. You know, refugees and immigrants come to the United States and bring diverse perspectives and different capabilities to our country, including some big ideas and innovative approaches that empower others. I'm very happy to introduce our next speaker, Kareem, founder of Design for Refugees. She's born in Kirkuk, Kurdistan, but raised in multiple countries. The United States is becoming her permanent home. She is a leader in the IT security industry and has a personal mission of weaving technology into daily human life in the hope of communal progress. She's a design and technology-oriented activist working to bridge the gap between necessity and dignity. Her experience as a refugee amidst war led her to analyze humanitarian aid from a different perspective. She co-founded the nonprofit organization Design for Refugees and has been working to change refugee lives. Her primary focus has been to empower refugee women with IT skills, allowing them to advance their careers, understand how IT impacts the lives of children, how to protect themselves and kids online, and find helpful resources, amongst other skills. Kareem is a firm believer that empowerment is the fruit of education, and her long-term goal in life is to help bring education to all who do not have access to it readily. I'm happy to introduce Kareem.
Thank you so much. That was quite an introduction. I mean, it took care of most of my speech.
I can reel it back in.
No, I'm just messing with you. Thank you so much. Good morning, and thank you all for being here today. I would like to start by a quote by Aristotle, who stated that education is an ornament in prosperity and a refuge in adversity. Today I'm here as proof of that quote. I'm here as a successful leader in the IT and security industry, a predominantly male-driven industry, but I decided that I wanted a lot of challenges in life. But my success was not achieved overnight, and my family and I were forced out of our homeland by the now deceased dictator Saddam. We started our journey on foot in 1987 from Iraqi Kurdistan and made our way into Iran. Through the mountains, the rough paths, we didn't really have a car, we didn't fly there per se. We just kind of walked across the border. We settled in the outskirts of a city called Sekez. It was not a refugee camp, it wasn't a resettlement site, nor was it a permanent home. It was merely a piece of land near a graveyard. In order for my parents to be able to afford shelter and food for us, my mother sold her wedding band that my father had given her. But it allowed us to have shelter and be able to stay there for quite some time until my father was able to work and get enough money together to get us out of Iran and into Pakistan, where he worked with UNHCR, and we were able to come and resettle here. So our journey wasn't easy. It wasn't always pleasant, and in no way can it be defined as normal. There were many other families before us who made the same journey, that same journey for hope, for freedom, but unfortunately a lot of them didn't make it. There were a lot of individuals who lost their lives, lost their loved ones, and lost a great deal more during that path. But we're fortunate. I've been fortunate. I've been brought up by two people who value education above all, and regardless of where we lived in this beautiful world, my hands were never empty of something to write with. My lap was never empty of something to write on. There was shortage of food at times, shortage of shelter, shortage of water, but never of books. Our mind was never hungry, and our imagination never empty. Through books, education, and the pure ability to imagine the endless possibilities, we found refuge. I found refuge. Arriving at United States, I went to Henderson Middle School. I didn't speak a lot of English, and we were in the zoo of hormones. Which, seriously, the quote, ignorance is bliss, was truly meant a lot then. But by high school, I spoke enough English, and high school was a blast. I was starting to understand better what the new world around me was. After graduating high school, I was off to college, and the world was mine to conquer. And boy, did I do just that. But I haven't stopped at my own success, and nor will I. I will not have accomplished true success unless I give back to my community and humanity as a whole. A few years ago, I co-founded the nonprofit Designed for Refugees. At the time, the refugee crisis had become one of the worst. And our initial focus was just to provide design and educational aid to only refugees, but we're expanding our scope. My wish for the organization is one that will touch the lives of anyone who needs help in this world. Throughout our wonderful journey, we were exposed to a lot of the beauty this world has to offer. We learned 4 or 5 languages along the way. We developed some great taste buds for food, and have become the humble people that we are today. Unfortunately, we also face the other side of beauty, but that didn't break us. In fact, it made us stronger people. It allowed us to embrace and learn from every part of life. A refugee, a displaced person, a homeless person, and a regular person all share one thing. They're all a person, a human that deserves as much good in life as their fellow. The world belongs to all of us to find refuge, opportunity, and success. The United States gave my family and I that chance, happiness, and opportunity, and this will not be forgotten. And we will do everything we can to give back to our new home and country. Today has been even more humbling than any day I've witnessed, seeing everybody here today, taking the time out. So I thank you all. I thank you for allowing me to speak, and I wish you a good day.
Thank you, Kareem. You know, immigrants are much more likely to start businesses than native-born Americans. Foreign-born Georgians own 31% of the Main Street businesses in this state, despite compromising only 10% of the population. I'm delighted to introduce Mariam and Kemal Aytek, owners of Cafe Istanbul. They are such entrepreneurs. Mariam is from Iran, Kemal is from Turkey. They're entrepreneurs and leaders. They're very active in giving back to their community. They've grown the Cafe Istanbul business to multiple locations with a reputation for great food, fun atmosphere, and being a place of welcome, belonging, and a place to celebrate happy occasions. I'm happy to introduce you to Mariam and Kemal Aytek.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here and truly honored and humbled. I think humble is the word for today. It's amazing. My name is Mariam Aytek. I came to the land of dreams and opportunities as a 7-year-old girl from Iran in 1983 with my brothers and parents because the regime was changing, and my dad saw it best fit that we leave. When we came here, there was not many refugees or immigrants at the time, so I could say for certainly that me and my brothers were probably one of 4 or 5 immigrant children in our school, and of course that makes my family one of the very few immigrant families, foreign families in our community. We had to adjust quickly to the new life in the U.S. and stand on our own 2 feet, considering what seemed an impossible language barrier and of course the huge cultural difference. The strength I had to grow to face my fears and peers as an immigrant child has made me the strong, independent businesswoman that I am today. I fell in love and married a man, Kurdish man, from Turkey, and our first date was in Cafe Istanbul, and that was 24 years ago. That dinner date brought our fate and built our whole future. Very soon after our date, we were offered to buy the restaurant and take over the business. And of course, never being young, being in love, and ready to take on any risks at the time, we said yes. Since then, we have raised 2 amazing boys and opened 4 Cafe Istanbul locations, never forgetting who we are, where we came from. I am passionate about the immigrants and refugees, mainly in Atlanta and of course all over the world. We are happy to let their faces be seen and voices be heard. We employ almost 100 people today and give back to our community any way we can. 90% of our employees are immigrants and refugees. Our plans for the future are as big as the American dream, in hopes to franchise by the end of 2020 and pass our passion and knowledge down to anybody willing to take over the business. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our guest speakers, and what stories, and what wonderful representatives of communities and the opportunities that can come our way when we are a welcoming state and a welcoming nation. So thank you, all of you. I'll open the floor to questions from the press. Yes.
Mr. Neal, I'm Jeremy Ruppin with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Yes,
Thank you
Jeremy.
for doing this. As you know, the governor has never stated publicly whether Georgia will consent to the resettlement of refugees under the executive order. And now we've learned this week that the Trump administration will appeal the judge's decision on stopping that executive order temporarily. What is your reaction to the Trump administration's decision to appeal, and what do you want to hear from Governor Kemp? Do you still want to hear a public statement consenting to the resettlement of refugees in Georgia?
Well, I think it's anticipated that the administration would appeal the injunction. What we hope to hear from Governor Kemp is what we have hoped to hear going back into the fall, and what thousands of Georgians have encouraged the governor to do, which is to reaffirm Georgia as a welcoming state where refugees are welcome to come and restart their lives. That's what we're hoping for.
And to consent to the resettlement?
And absolutely to consent.
Do any of the other speakers want to address this point?
Yeah, so, we've been trying to come here, time and again to actually ask the governor to consent to that. Because, before all this had unveiled, we were hoping to continue doing this, We actually want more refugees. If the number could be bumped up, would be even great. So I think my take on that, we still really need some sort of consent from the governor to really tell us, because keeping silent is not going to answer anything. So we want him to actually, say it, that, yeah, we do welcome refugees in Georgia. That's what I think should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jerry. Other questions?
Ron Harris with the AP. Just last month, the governor of Texas allowed for his state to say no to any new refugees. That the door was closed for now. His ability to do that was made possible by Trump and rules, if you will, that were put in place by him. Is that a climate? Is that a feeling that the refugee community here in Georgia or larger gets in general, that doors are closing?
I'll speak very briefly to the Texas governor's decision, and then would ask other speakers to address the climate question. We're naturally disappointed in that decision because Texas has received and resettled many refugees over the years. It's discouraging anytime you see an expression of unwelcome, because it just runs so contrary to values, it runs contrary to facts and data, it runs contrary to the stories that you've heard around this table. So anytime that we as a nation or any part of us conveys anything about being unwelcoming, it's a challenge because we have people who have been through so much to be here, and to see that anything about that door closing, I can imagine is very, very troubling and very difficult to all of us. I defer to anyone else who would like to address that question about climate. Kareem?
I mean, you certainly have seen a shift in the way people are perceiving refugees as a whole. The recent changes attribute to that, these recent decisions by our government or officials have contributed to the way that certain individuals look at refugees, and it has changed the climate from one that was rather welcoming to one that may be stepping back a little bit. But I have faith in the people around us, because I have seen so many positive individuals. I've seen so many individuals who are supportive of more refugees coming here, for us to continue to embrace other people, for us to continue to open arms. So although the climate at times feels like it's shifting, I think as people, and me being, again, in IT, the way that social media has changed things, and the ability for individuals to have so much support readily available at their fingertips, you certainly see that more so on social media than you do anywhere else, is that support for others, is that support for continuing to welcome people. So yes and no.
If I can maybe add
Yeah,
to
please,
that.
Mary.
I just want to add a little bit to what Mr. Neal and Kareem said, is that we need to remember how many business owners in the United States are refugees and immigrants, and the finances that it gives back in terms of that. It does seem like they're trying to close the doors as much as possible, but of course, they are here to stay and their voices be heard, and like you said, the financial give back to the community is huge. So I don't see how it is anything but positive from refugees and immigrants, and myself certainly will stand behind it. And like you said, the internet and social media has spoken, but we certainly see a change in schools, how they face the children, how my children see it. I see it in my own business, and it's really sad, but I'm hoping that it can change.
Thank you.
And perspectives can change.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ron. Other questions? Okay. Well, with that, I will just say again, thank you. Thank you to the press. Thank you for everyone who has been here. It's been a great and wonderful day. If I might, the work that happens here is built up through so many individuals who work so hard across CRSA organizations and advocates and supporters. And there's one exemplar of that, a woman named Frances McBrayer, who was my predecessor in this role and a leader at Catholic Charities. Frances has been such a positive influence in this community. Today is her last as a CRSA member, a New American celebration. I don't know if Frances is in the room. Thank you, Joseph. Yeah. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. As I was saying, Frances McBrayer is awesome. No, Frances McBrayer is an exemplar of folks who step in and lead, and has been a leader at Catholic Charities. My predecessor in leading CRSA continues to lead in CRSA. And Frances, I was just highlighting that today is your last official as a CRSA member organization leader. Notice all those qualifiers. New American celebration. Frances is taking a wonderful leadership opportunity with a new nonprofit organization. And so a wonderful job.
Thank you so
Justin, Mohammed, thank you so much for speaking from the heart. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Great job. Thank you. Very kind. You want me to take the picture of the two of you in front of something, or do you get your pictures made often enough?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, that's fine. I'm in the middle. I figured they would. Oh, yes. Looking good. Yeah. Tell me when you're ready. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3.
We recorded
Thank you.
it.
Thank you so much.
We have no video there, so we're gonna get in touch.
Yeah, we're actually working towards doing a school in Liberia. That's our new institution.
Congratulations.
Nice meeting you.
You said you're from the agency? Hi, I'm Miriam. I just wrote an article for agency, actually. Yes, thank you.
I really appreciate your story and taking the time to come out.
Last month.
Wonderful.
It was took a computer and it was.
I understand. I don't even know what time it is. No one ran from the room.
That's true.
And it was so compelling. It was really well articulated. And thank you for joining in on the questions. I know sometimes that can be a little, you know, you don't know.
We do have
Yes, thank you so much. That was really terrific. I'm really honored to hear from you.
Can we take a picture?
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
please.